Welcome to Noir Alley here on TCM. I'm your host, Eddie Muller. For our feature this week, to honor Memorial Day, I've selected a film that features a military doctor just home from the Korean War. Charlton Heston stars in Bad for Each Other, made in 1953 at Columbia Pictures, a studio celebrating its centennial anniversary this year. While Bad for Each Other sounds like a perfectly noir title, the film itself is actually more melodrama than typical noir, but it fits the bill today for the reasons I just mentioned, and it stars noir favorite Elizabeth Scott in glamorously fatale mode. It's kind of ironic I'm choosing this film to celebrate Columbia's 100th birthday because it did not start out as a Columbia production. It was purchased by independent producer Hal Wallis in 1952 with the intention of being made at Paramount with Burt Lancaster and Patricia Neal in the leads. When Wallis couldn't bring that deal together, he eventually sold the rights to Columbia, which decided to reunite Heston and Scott, who 3 years earlier had co-starred in Heston's major studio debut as a leading man, Dark City, a film produced by Hal Wallis for Paramount. Elizabeth Scott was by this time known around Hollywood as Hal Wallis's protege, if you get my drift, and I'm sure you do. He first cast the model-turned-actress in his 1946 production, The Strange Love of Martha Ivers, where she was tagged by PR flacks with the moniker The Threat, purportedly for her similarity to another husky-voiced model-turned-actress, Lauren Bacall. For the next 6 years, Scott was a fixture in film noir. If not always the bad girl, she typically played ambiguous dames who represented an irresistible temptation to the leading man. Unfortunately, Scott was never able to break the mold, and her legacy is based more on her embodying a stereotype rather than playing any particularly unique or memorable characters. In 1953, the mold hadn't yet been set for Charlton Heston. He was still playing mere mortals in pictures like this one, 1952's Ruby Gentry, and Cecil B. DeMille's The Greatest Show on Earth. After playing Moses in 1956's The Ten Commandments and Ben-Hur in that 1959 spectacle, Heston's performances took on an indomitable, larger-than-life quality. He played monumental men, not the men with feet of clay commonly found in film noir. This film began life as a novel by Horace McCoy called Scalpel. Well, let me correct that. Hal Wallis paid McCoy $50,000 for this story, before McCoy had written a single word. Although he first created it as a screenplay, McCoy only turned Scalpel into a novel after Wallis failed to get it set up at Paramount. On publication, the book met with mixed reviews, but managed to become a bestseller, which helped entice Columbia to acquire the rights from Wallis. This would be the last significant work of McCoy's long career. More to say about the man and his work after the film. Despite being paid $50 grand for the original screenplay, McCoy's story was eventually polished by young Irving Wallace, who would later write the kind of massive best-selling novels that McCoy could never quite manage. British-born director Irving Rapper is mostly known for the films he made with Bette Davis at Warner Brothers: Shining Victory, Now Voyager, The Corn is Green, and Deception. Although his reputation mainly rested on his being adept with temperamental actresses, Rapper's films always featured a wonderful sense of place and a real care for production design, and this film is no exception, moving between vividly rendered coal town hovels and swank uptown penthouses. Also starring Diane Foster, Arthur Franz, and Mildred Dunnock, completely recovered from being thrown down the stairs by Richard Widmark in Kiss of Death. Here is Bad for Each Other.